Hello, welcome to Hanging with Howie. And before I forget, we are sponsored by DJ Event Planner, and you can find them down below when this goes to YouTube, along with all our other sponsors. So tonight I have with me Buddy. We have Matt with us. We have my road dog, Boston John.
Hello.
And we're going to get on with it. And the topic I picked was actually suggested by my lady, Lori. And what is the funniest, most unusual, and what's this last one? And most embarrassing thing you've either been a part of or you've seen at a wedding.
That time that Howie didn't introduce me or Matt.
Right.
Well, he introduced me. It was on you.
This is Jay.
Yeah.
I forget Jay.
He's had it with me.
Well, there you go. That I'm done with mine. Most embarrassing.
The funny, most unusual, or most embarrassing. Okay, I'm going to think on this for a little bit while we're recording.
Oh, that's all right. All right, you marinate. I've had a cake tip over. Anyone had a cake tip over?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I had that.
You're not a DJ unless you've had a cake tip over. I was gonna pick that one, but I thought, you know what? That happened to all of us.
So, let's just to the cake tip over real fast. I had a wedding years ago where they thought we were doing the cake cutting at 9. And at 9:15, I said, hey, they want to do the cake cutting around 15:15. Then you said, okay. And it was a very expensive country club in the ritziest area of San Diego. Mm-hmm. And at like 9:10, I went to find the banquet captain, and I glanced over at the little alcove where the cake had been, and the cake wasn't there. And I went into the kitchen, and there was the entire wedding cake plated. And I said, they haven't cut the wedding cake yet. And they said, what do you mean? I said, the wedding cake has not been cut. And the captain came in, oh my God, what'd you do? And we had to go to the restaurant upstairs, and the chef had to grab another cake base that was fake,
Right.
cover it, put their topper on top, and bring out a 2-tier that was a 4-tier.
Oh, God.
And I went over to him, I go, I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you're going to have to actually cut the topper that you're supposed to keep. What do you mean? The cake already has been cut. That's impossible. We haven't cut it. I'm like, they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to go home early.
My quick cake cutting thing was they had chosen cheesecake for everybody, and it was already plated and cut the whole 9 yards. But they did have a fake cake out there, but it was all plastic, except for the very top, which was maybe 6 inches, and they decorated it and all that. And I guess the planner neglected to tell the two ladies that were cutting the cake. They were trying to cut through the plastic. I mean, they were really trying hard, and the whole table moves, and they were like, "Oh my God!" They're grabbing, and then quick, the coordinator came over and said, "Just cut the top portion. That's what you're going to take home." And so we averted that catastrophe, and then they immediately started coming out with trays and trays of cheesecake. But
so you guys had time to talk. You guys had time to think. Anything other than cake? I got 2. I got one cake, and I got one dealing with undergarments. Which would you guys rather hear first?
Well, those two go together well.
Cake by the ocean.
Yeah.
I'll do the cake one's pretty quick. I'll do that one real fast. So I'm lucky to work with my lovely bride, my wife of 24 years, and she does the coordination, time action side of things.
She's 3 feet away from him right now. I guarantee it.
This wedding's back a couple years ago. Younger couple, Probably not been to many weddings, and it was a 3 or 4 tier cake. And they went with the knife and started cutting for the top of the cake, trying to cut all the way down. Oh. And they're sawing back and forth, and the cake is rocking back and forth. And Tracy goes running over there and says, hold on 1 second. No, cut at the base. So went down, cut the base. The photographer was standing there snapping away pictures. So it was one of those things that, it was almost a disaster, but it's like, thank God, she ran over there and said, no, hold on. Go with the undergarment item. Oh boy. So how many times we all played, I've had the time of my life, and people try to lift people up over their heads.
Yes.
So this is going back a few years ago as well. And younger couple dancing around, everybody's having fun. This gentleman and this young girl, she jumps in the air, jumps up, and she was up there. He was spinning her. And she had a lack of an undergarment when she was up there. And something you don't want to see or know about at a wedding.
Right.
And it's like, no. So it's one of the things like that happen. So funny, humorous, as well as embarrassing, not for myself,
right,
but for those people.
Did you give him a refund?
No.
Excellent.
All right. Who's up next?
I've had the joy of screwing this up not once, but twice. Miscounting the bridesmaids coming down for the ceremony. Mm-hmm. So going into the bride entrance song, when there's still one bridesmaid left. So that's always an interesting moment. And I don't realize it right away either, because at that point I'm kind of, looking around, looking up at the groom, looking up at the altar, kind of looking back at the door until finally I'll see like another bridesmaid come out, and I realize, oh no, I did it. And then the last time I did it, like it was years between the two times. Last time I did it, I was like, no, I did it again. And this is after being at the rehearsal. This is after knowing how many of them there would be. This is after knowing who the last one was. All of the prep work I could have done, just somewhere along the way, it's just, I don't know if you get trigger happy or if there just happens to be a little bit more delay between the, to the point where you're like, well, it doesn't sound like anybody else is coming out there yet. So it's time to go into the bridal song. Just somewhere along the way, you just get thrown off. And sure enough, trying to marry off some bridesmaids.
For future reference, always go with, is there a ring bearer or a flower girl?
Yeah.
And if there is, when that you have your cue is one song for the wedding party, and once the last kid rolls down, then the bride. And I'm not saying it in a mean way. I'm saying, because otherwise you can lose count, because you're looking down, you're changing tracks, you're doing your thing. You can't be held accountable to count like, okay, that's the fifth couple. So I just years ago started saying, you got a ring bearer, flower girl? Yes, great. The same song will play for them that plays for the wedding party. And they'll come out, and always have 2 copies loaded, because what happens is the flower girl suddenly takes the minute and a half you have left, takes the entire thing. So you have to be prepared.
Right.
They get to the head of the aisle, and all of a sudden fear sets in, and they start losing it. And you're like, it's the worst feeling in the world. Real quick, worst cake was El Cajon, California. Aunt made it at the local Ralph's grocery store. Her sister was the florist, and the cake was outside, and it was very hot. And the sister thought, you know what? We cool things down by spraying cold water on them. That'll keep the cake cool. It will also make the shells that are blue and silver run down the cake. Had a bride who decided that the day of her wedding, her fiance was anxious. So she decided to give him 2 Ativan, which is like Valium.
Oh, my God.
And he decided to wash it down with a glass of champagne.
Oh, good idea.
So he was barely conscious through the ceremony. and then went down for a nap after the ceremony, so blew up his own photos. I had a bride get sick on a boat because we hit a lot of wakes, and I worked on boats for 7 years. She got sick to the point where she threw up on the groom during their first dance.
Oh my gosh.
And then the
that
ultimate
might be tradition
was
in some cultures.
yeah, that's true. The ultimate was when the pastor, who was supposed to do a 5 o'clock wedding that I was the DJ, thought it was 5:30, got held up in traffic, and at 5:45 said, I'm not going to be there till probably 6:15. And the venue had a very hard 9 p.m. ending.
Right.
Very hard. Mm-hmm. And the father of the bride said, if you show up at all, I will effing kill you. And then threw his cell phone on the ground, turned around and looked at me and said, someone said you're a priest. And I'm like, no, I'm an ordained officiant. Good, then you do it. And that was 2003, right. 2004. And I had to step in with no paperwork and do the wedding. Because I got ordained back in 2000. So those, fun. I bet we all have thousands of these things. It's like every wedding has its own little faux pas.
Yeah, but even though you may not have had the exact script for their religion or whatever, I'm sure with your gift of gab, you were able to get through it, remember their names, and you saved the wedding. As far as they know, you saved the wedding. Well,
they went to Mexico on Monday. This was a Saturday. They'd gotten I don't know about your states, it may vary, but in California, your marriage license is valid for 90 days from the day you sign it, meaning the day it's issued. So their marriage license expired on the Thursday while they were in Mexico. And they didn't care because if they were legally married on Saturday, the officiant would sign it and send it in on Monday, and it would get down there before Thursday. The problem with our wedding was if I didn't step in, their marriage license would have expired while they were on their honeymoon.
Right.
That would have, and certain jargon. Can I, who gives this bride to be married to her mother and father?
Yeah. Right.
Can I have the rings, a perfect circle, an outward sign of an inward bond of love, something never to be broken? The only thing I know I screwed up was when I gave them each their vows, they were a little different. I didn't remember everything I said to the bride when I said it to the groom. But they got the gist of it. Rich or poor.
All there in theory. Yeah, that's all.
Very happy that you were there to be able to bail them out. Come on.
I'm to understand that the Universal Life Church, where I'm ordained, and as you can see, I have it still right here. That's me.
It looks
I'm to understand they are no longer going to be giving out that ordination. And I can legally marry someone in all 50 states. There are 2 states I have to get a special pass, but they will issue it. And I'm to understand they're no longer going to be doing that. Well, I paid $15 for that. And at last check, it was $25. To get a 1-day pass in San Diego is $58. Wow. Where you can be a quote, your friend wants to do the ceremony. They can be a justice of the peace deal for the day. I highly recommend, if you're an active working wedding DJ, you're kind of a fool if you don't get that ordination.
Right.
Because just like it's happened to me 6 times, I've had to step in and marry a couple because the officiant didn't show up. There was an accident. I had one faint and pass out halfway through. It's just an extra thing when the couple says, well, what separates you from Matt Ames? We look to him. Well, if your officiant doesn't show up that day, I'm ordained. I can marry you. Are you serious? Right. I'm like, I try to do all I can to make sure that everything you're going to need from me, even something like that, is taken care of. The same way in a timeline, you put the sunset time and they'll look at you like, oh, that's the sunset time. I'm like, yeah, I want to make sure your photographer is aware of it. It's not my job, but I want to make sure your photographer knows halfway through dinner, he should probably take you out and do photos. Oh, wow. Way to look out, Jay. Yeah, that's the DJ's job. We're all encompassing.
All right. What say you, Boston John?
I think we've seen it all. We've done enough events. what haven't we seen at this point? I mean, it's had the bridal party trapped in an elevator, wedding cake tip over in the back of a van. I mean, we just try to make the most of the day. I mean, there are some things that we have no control over. And it's just, can you just let it roll off, and stay focused to what the more important, the bigger picture. This, just in specifics, so I just be general with some of these. I mean, I've had the power go out, for the better part of a night, and it was thankfully it was during dinner, and I kind of kicked back in before we got to the dancing port. But we've seen some strange things. It's just don't let it razzle you. Just keep calm and push through it. When 10 o'clock rolls around, it's in the history books, and these people are going to remember they had an awesome day, and you didn't go to pieces when something went a little off the rails. Right. I think that's what I'll say about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Can I ask by a show of hands, who's had someone get arrested at a wedding?
Before
the only two?
Bars, not weddings.
Oh no, I've had like 4 or 5 different weddings where someone got arrested at the wedding. And the sad thing is, I raised my price shortly thereafter, and it never happened again. When I was $100 an hour, I got the trailers.
Yeah.
Well, I will give you mine, and I guess it's as mushy as a cake, but I was doing a civic event, and I was right in front of the bleachers where they have like the running track, but out in the field they had, fire trucks and ambulances, and it was just, a day like that. Well, the state police, brought their mounted troops in, for a parade, and then they do these little things where they crisscross this and that. But first they come down from left to right so the crowd can see and get pictures. Well, I'm right there, but I always do this if I'm anywhere in a spot where I would be in the picture. I have a case that I can sit on, and I'm below my facade, so I am not in the picture. And thank God I wasn't in this picture, because the horses are parading along, and one horse took a dump right in front of my facade. And the place was laughing so hard. And they quick had the groomsmen come out, it wasn't a wedding, it's, the groomsmen for the horses and whatnot, shovels and little thing quick and run away. And then they went out and did figure 8 things with the horses and all that stuff like that. But that was like, I was like, can you imagine if I was standing up, I would be in the picture of a horse taking a dump at an event. That would be hard.
That's going to be on the internet forever if that ever happens. So,
yeah. That happens today.
You can't get rid of that. That's forever.
Yeah.
That's a forever
legacy.
photo.
You thought it was like Max's and your ability to do electronics. Nope. Sadly, it'll be Howie, the DJ, that got shit on.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'd be known for, right?
Tragic.
Oh Lord.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to add? Or
just one last one, because I think it's funny because of the outcome. I've mentioned several times, I used to be a member of the San Diego Police Department on their crisis team. I wasn't a sworn officer. I was just called out for crisis situations with officers and SWAT and shootings and things like that.
Right.
And I did a wedding for a police officer, and his groomsmen, there was 6 groomsmen, were either police officers or firefighters. So they're all first responders. And it was a hot San Diego day outside. And the last groomsman, the rookie cop of the group, fainted. And like halfway through the ceremony, you hear this crack. And I look up, and it's like, it's obvious somebody's missing, and he's on the ground. So they all respond to him. Ambulance is called. And if this has never happened to you, if somebody passes out at your wedding, the venue will demand they leave in an ambulance to cover them for liability. Because if they get up and start dancing again and something happens to them, the family will sue the venue. So it's happened a few times. People faint at my weddings and they get taken out in an ambulance. Well, this guy gets taken out, and the groom had asked me to come outside. I come outside. There's the stretcher. There's the ambulance. And before he gets in the ambulance, the guy goes, "Oh, wait, I have this." And he reaches down to his ankle and he pulls out his gun and ankle holster. And he hands it to the groom. And the groom goes, "You brought a gun to the wedding?" He's like, "I'm 24-hour carry. I don't have a choice." He's like, "Oh, God." And they had filmed this, by the way. And when he went back, the sergeant at roll call played a loop of him dropping and standing. Mm-hmm. The groom looks at me and he goes, "Put this over at my table, would you?" And I'm like, "Sure." I proceed to walk halfway through a parking lot into a hotel. This is in 2000, carrying a gun in front of me in a holster, like it's nothing, like it's a pack of, car keys or something. I'm just like, do. And a sergeant is walking out and he goes, "Hey, what you got there, Jay?" And he knew me from Crisis. I'm like, "Oh, the officer that fell had a gun." He goes, "Yeah. Why don't I take that?" I go, "I was going to put it at the groom's table." He goes, No. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. He goes, "I don't know about you walking into the lobby holding a gun. May not be a good look."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, wow, Sergeant, that
might not end well." Right.
Yeah. But it didn't even dawn on me. I was just like, got a gun, just walking into the but I did it so instantly, I just got a gun in a holster by my side, and what's going on, everybody?
Jay's got a gun.
Yeah, it's an Aerosmith song. That's awesome. Where it started,
That's absolutely
Boston.
Yeah, Boston. There we go again. 6 degrees, my friend. 6 degrees.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you guys for being here. And as always, folks, if you have something you would like us to talk about, leave it in the comment section below when this is published. And we're going to say